yeah. You look much better without that beard on your face. Terrible.
Yeah, well, you look better if you didn't have all those wrinkles on your face. So speaking of age, you sent an article that you wanted to discuss, and it was on millennials, which neither of us are, but we're going to talk about it anyway. It's the sandwich generation between us, generation millennials. Before we do that, we do want to talk a little bit about how important your support is, guys. Thank you so much for watching, especially those in Europe and around the world.
Yeah, we did well. We did well on the Brexit. Our episode went over 190 people.
Yeah, so we really enjoy continuing hearing from you. Like and share, but also please consider donating. You can find us on PayPal, just a one-time. But if you want to go the extra mile, we really appreciate monthly.
Merry Christmas.
That too. Give us a wonderful Christmas. Anyway, that being said.
Speaking of Christmas, it's really interesting to me. I was thinking about this today, about all this gift giving and people shopping for Christmas and taking time off. They're forgetting the entire reason that we're having Christmas.
Oh, my goodness. How many times do I have to hear people say that over and over? People forget. You know, the fact of the matter is I have never once in my life ever forgot Christmas. Never.
That's because you're a churchgoer. I read an article the other day. I think I sent it to you. I think you looked at it. Millennials. Let's just talk about the millennials. That's what our topic is. Millennials are leaving the established religions, and they're not coming back. And the article said that there are a couple of reasons for this. First of all, they're delaying social relationships, which means they're delaying marriage, which means they're delaying children. The theory being that people are loyal to a church from elementary school to high school to college because they get married either in college or very soon thereafter college. But that rate has dropped dramatically. And so has the evacuation of the millennials from churches because they're not getting married and they're not having children. What do you think?
No, I disagree with that. I think that the reason why they're leaving is, and I've heard this a million times over, it's just not for me. It's just not for me. The thing is, if you treat it like a social club, people will treat it like a social club. Mm-hmm. And the fact of the matter is, it's a pretty lame social club.
Yeah, but don't you think that the reason why they say it's not for me is because they're not looking at the existential realities of family and having children? I mean, when you hold a newborn baby, as I did Sophia Bixby the other day, when you look and hold a little baby like that, you realize what the importance of marriage is. It has nothing to do with a prenuptial agreement. It has nothing to do with getting visitation in a hospital. It has nothing to do with inheritance. I mean, those things are attached to marriage, legally speaking, but the real purpose of marriage is family and the existential realities that family brings.
See, I disagree with you because I think that the services that church provide are more fundamental than family. See, you could argue that the church is a support for family. I would argue that the family is supposed to be a support for the church, and people just do not see it that way anymore. Mm-hmm. They see both as unnecessary. You could call it there's a hyper individualization. People are only concerned about themselves, and also they may believe, well, I clearly am not okay, so why should I be married? Why should I be part of a church with a bunch of good people if I'm not okay?
Yeah, I'm screwed up. Why should I have a kid to make the kid screwed up? Yeah.
Yeah, why
should I have a kid? There's a lot to what you say there. I like that.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing is, for so long, church has been branded as community-based, as a social club, and it is those things, but ultimately its real purpose is not to provide community. It's not to, I mean, those are just nice side benefits or side effects. Yeah. The true purpose is to tell people the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's literally what it's supposed to do. Right. And the thing about I don't think that there's a flaw with the message of Christ. It's just the message is not being taught anymore. People just don't know it. You know,
the other factor that we haven't touched upon is something that's been going along ever since the 1960s, and that is that each generation, my generation especially, consider churches to be corporations and tax write-offs, and the feeling is that any organization who has its sole purpose to self-perpetuate, which is what churches are like, that in the minds of many, that just ruins the whole message of Christ. They don't hear the message of Christ. I mean, when they take up special collections and the collections go to Rome and then it never reaches the poor people that the collection was targeted for, the Catholic Church has just uncovered another huge scandal about $3 billion of American special collections over the last 10 years designated for Peter's Pence, which is a special charity for the poor. The money never got there. It was stolen by clergy people, stolen by bishops and archbishops and cardinals. Who knows what happened to it when it got to Rome? So a lot of people, they don't trust a church that's an organization concerned with self-perpetuation. That's the other
Right.
thing.
And to be very fair, they shouldn't, because if a church really does believe in the power of God and really does believe in Christ, that Christ is that the church is the bride of Christ, and they really believe that, then why would you believe that some corporate boardroom of pastors who went to seminary, not business school, seminary, are the enlightened people that can lead you to growth and success and all that? Right. So, and millennials, they get a lot of crap from the boomer generation, a lot of different generations, and they always have, and a lot of it is deserved. But I will say this: they're very good at zeroing in on hypocrisy. They're very good.
That's true.
They have zero tolerance. The only people that have less tolerance are probably my generation, the Zoomers, but they have no tolerance whatsoever for hypocrisy. And the church is writhing in hypocrisy, and they see it blatantly. So now, what you would expect the Zoomer generation, my generation, the Generation Z, to be even more antagonistic toward church. Now, there's not much polling or data collection because we're a very young generation, so I can't cite any study that I know of, and I really am just being anecdotal here. We're really the first generation without any, that was brought up without any sort of church institutional, presence. Very few of us had, went to church as kids, very few of us. And those who had not are searching for something like it. Mm-hmm. And they are getting a lot of them are very much warming up to religion. And what surprises me is they're actually very keen on religion and spirit. You very often hear the term, "Oh, I'm spiritual but not religious." Mm-hmm. I'm finding more and more people very much like religion. They like the ritual of the Mass. They love that order and that structure, and that they very much love it. They relish it.
They also like the self-discipline because they're not getting it from their hippy dippy parents
or professors or patrons.
Professors. Yeah. So I think the attraction. Let me ask you this question, because this is this is just your opinion, of course, but I'm interested, and I think our listeners are interested because you're erudite on this question. But do you think that as the millennials age and they actually do get married and they actually do start having kids, do you think that they will return to the first century style of religion where it's in the home? We did a podcast about home churching, which was very successful, got a lot of reaction. But do you think that's going to catch on where the building itself in the parish and the bingo hall, and all of the stained glass windows and the statues and all that kind of crap, do you think that's going to be replaced by, people meeting in homes and discussing their religious beliefs and dedicating themselves to their beliefs? Do you think that's going to happen?
Well, with the millennial generation, I've seen it happen. There definitely is a stronger drive to go to, they call it small groups, sometimes it's called Bible study. It goes by many different names, and some are very different, some are very similar, but all ultimately have the same purpose, and that's intimacy. And, being real, getting to know each other, because you don't know. I've been to dozens of churches in my life, and sometimes I walk out there, I can't remember the one name of one person. I definitely think that just America in general is a very antisocial kind of a culture. So it's hard to get something like that off the ground. But I definitely do see that people want something like that, but nobody want. It's sort of like how everyone's sitting around a room and they all want all want a task to be done, but no one wants to raise their hand and volunteer to do it.
Right.
That's kind of what it's like here, in my opinion. Everyone wants something, like what we're describing, but nobody wants to put the effort in to do it. And that's not so much a knock against people in general. It's hard to do something like that because there's so many distractions, and so life is so quick and blah, 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 all that stuff. We're going to have to wrap up very soon. Do you have any closing thoughts?
No, I just I think that you're right. I think.
Well, I know that, but thank you.
Yeah, you thought you were right once, but you actually turned out that you were mistaken. But I mean, the transcendental attraction to religion is definitely the self discipline. As you get older, you appreciate self discipline. So start making your bed in the morning, Alex. Okay, start making your bed.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Cheers.
Cheers, Alex.